Don't you need me back? Wasn't Halloween.
Rapper PnB Rock was reportedly shot to death at a restaurant in Los Angeles Monday afternoon. TMZ is reporting that he was the victim that the LAPD has yet to publicly name. Cops say a suspect walked into Roscoe's house of chicken and waffles in South Los Angeles, got into a verbal altercation with the victim at a table, and then shot him.
When will the violence stop? This video is brought to you by The Officer Tatum Store. The Officer Tatum Store. Get your godly merch at theofficertatumstore.com. The links are in the description section. If you put in Adam 2024, you'll get 20% off the entire store. So go there now, and that's including my book and everything else. I don't know why I'm so generous. I'll tell you why. Because I love y'all. Like and subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell so you get notification anytime I go live and make a video. Make sure you still subscribe to this channel. Like this video. Comment on this video. Share this video. Let's get into this. Rapper PnB, his name is PnB Rock, was murdered at Roscoe Chicken and Waffles in South Los Angeles. And it is troubling to me that these situations continue to happen to young brothers in America. And I know that some may be saying, well, he was a rapper, he was living that lifestyle, whatever the case may be, but it still doesn't take back the fact that he's dead now. He was somebody's father. He was somebody's boyfriend. I don't think he was married at the time. Maybe he was somebody's husband. I don't know if they were married or not. But, I mean, he meant something to somebody. And a lot of people followed him. They thought he was a good rapper. I never heard of him a day in my life. But the scenario really struck home with me because this happens time after time after time after time. And then you have to ask yourself this question, or ask me the question. I'll give you the answer. You say, well, what happened to him? How did he die? Another man, and I would bet my life that the guy was a black man. Another black man goes up to him in a Roscoe Chicken and Waffles restaurant in the hood and demands that he take off all of his jewelry and give it over to the suspect. I guess he refused, or somehow they got into it, and that guy shot the rapper multiple times in the chest, leaving him for dead.
Well, they really walked right in there, boy, and try to rob him and popped him, bruh, a few times. The block is hot. They ain't even been out here long enough. Just see the niggas smoking from. They done just had everything taped off. Just let us go finally. That shit's crazy. We in there sitting with the kids eating, and that pop off all over. Jewelry and Rolex and all that type of shit. So we are back on this motherfucking freeway. LA, we see how y'all doing, and we don't want none of them problems. So me and the fan is.
It reminds me of Nipsey Hussle in LA as well. Nipsey Hussle, well-known rapper. He was way more popular than the rapper that I'm referring to today. What is it? PnB Rock. Nipsey was way more popular. Nipsey had a lot going on in the community. He was actually working and had a business in the community where he grew up, where his gang was. And he ended up getting murdered right in front of his store, in front of everybody. It was caught on surveillance camera. Murdered by a guy that was in his own gang because the guy got in his feelings because Nipsey Hussle was successful and he wanted an opportunity and Nipsey didn't want to mess with him. But, you know, the senseless murders. And people can go off and point the finger and blame as many people as they want for these senseless crimes happening again and again. But we have to look in the mirror. Why are these communities so dangerous? Why are young men in their 30s, which I think this guy was 20 or 30 years old, why is a young man walking around with hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of jewelry on? Knowing you in the hood. It's interesting because the same young man that was murdered did an interview with a guy named DJ Academics. And in that interview, before his murder, they were talking about a situation in which he was almost robbed in LA before, when he had his girlfriend and his child with him, and guys were running up on him, and there was a fear of being out in LA because it's so crazy out there.
But I've never seen gang culture over there. It's just so
serious.
crazy.
I ain't gonna lie. I went through some. My first like was having in LA with some niggas on Grape Street. These my niggas this day. You feel me? 03 Greedo and them.
Yeah.
You feel me? They try to do some type of shit, but they seen that I wasn't on it. You feel me? Like they try to approach me on some cool shit. I'm just knowing too much. I'm from the trenches too, so I'm just like not paying it. I'm not taking it lightly. You know what I'm saying? So I'm clutching and all that. Like I'm like, bro, what is y'all trying to do? Like I'm going off of the energy. What you saying right now? I know what you saying, but it's like I'm getting it too. You feel me? Like I'm not slow. I'm not no. It's like what's going on, bro? Like what y'all trying to do? Like and when they peeped it, they're like, oh no, this no. He on some shit. Like we really could on some real shit. And when they peeped it, like they started like getting a little bit more lackadaisical, and it's like, all right, we could talk, you feel me? And they tried to test me like on some test me, like they was just like, yeah, come to the hood, you feel me? Like come to the hood.
Come to the hood.
I went to their hood, you feel me? With strapped up, you feel me? Like I went with my like 3 of us, and we wasn't crazy deep, cause I just be wanting to know like.
Nigga,
I'm like y'all. I'm just like y'all, bro.
DJ Academics alluded to the fact that the reason it's so crazy because people have no accountability. Crime is out of control. Police are not going to do anything. They're not there. They're not present. Dudes are going to jail and getting a slap on the wrist and they're getting back out the next day. So they're brazen. They robbing people in broad daylight. They barely even doing ski masks. They're not even trying to sneak. You know how you sneak up on somebody, you take their jewelry and run or snatch it off their neck or whatever you try to do. Now they don't even care. They running up on people in broad daylight in front of everybody. Give me your chain or it's over. Killing them, running away, getting away in a getaway car. And unfortunately, PnB Rock, and then he get the name PnB from the street. I guess the street he grew up on, the 2 streets put together P&B. They started with one start with a P, one start with a B. But I guess what happened was in this gang culture, in this thug environment, that they're watching you. And I got a whole thing to say about this, and I can't play the video here because there's too much cussing in it, but they're watching you because in a lot of times they're hypnotized with hatred and envy and jealousy that you made it out the hood, quote unquote, you doing well, you got a lot of money, and they struggling, and they hate you. They're hypnotized. They want to kill you. They want to prove a point. They want to steal your jewelry so they can go on the internet and say, hey, man, I robbed homeboy. He ain't real like y'all said he was. So his girlfriend posts a picture on Instagram of them eating at Roscoe Chicken and Waffles. But she geo-tracked the location, or she tagged the location through geo-tracking, right? So she tagged that she was at a specific Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles in a specific area, and people who were following looked at her post and was like, oh, this is where he at. So they ran up on him, and they stole his chain, and they killed him. I don't even know if they took his jewelry. I think they just ended up killing him and running. Some people are speculating that the girlfriend may have had something to do with it. I don't really know that to be true. I mean, he had a kid together. She wouldn't want the man to die. Or did she just want somebody to steal his chain and didn't expect him to die? So I don't know that to be true whatsoever. If you ask me my opinion, I doubt it. It's crazy out here. This is a different level of violence, ladies and gentlemen. This is a different level that we're talking about. You look at anywhere else in the country. Do you see country music singers getting robbed and killed in broad daylight? What is it? What is it that is so different about this culture? What is it that is so different about black culture in America? And I'm not saying it's every black person because I don't live in that culture. I don't go to the hood, and people on social media criticize me. Oh, B, you ain't in the hood. You ain't in the hood. Well, of course I'm not. I have no business to go to a hood unless I'm going there to do something specific, and I need people to protect me. Because people are hypnotized with hatred. Some people may be mad that I'm successful. And they may remember when we were in middle school together, and they may start getting their feelings, and they want to kill me. They ain't got nothing to lose. I got a lot to lose. Or they disagree with me politically. because I went to my high school was right in the hood in Stop 6, right in the hood, gangs and everything. People used to come off the street in our school fighting. But somebody there may be like, oh man, Brandon think he's somebody. He a Trump supporter. He think he better than us and all this other stuff. And they may want to smoke your boy while I'm with my kids. So I don't go to the hood unless I go visit my grandma. That's the only time I'm there. And I ain't geo-tracking none of my stuff. And I'm not saying I'm out there where people may want to kill me, but I don't want to take a chance. You know, that is why successful people move out of the hood. The goal is to move out of the hood. It don't make you less of a man. It don't make you less gangster, because they don't care how gangster you are when you're dead. The same thing happened to Young Dolph. The same thing happened to the rapper Extension or whatever his name is. They showing up, dudes catching them on IG, and they killing them. I saw a video of another young guy who was a rapper. He got killed on IG Live. He on IG Live recording a live stream, and they killed him right there on the live stream. It was such a horrible video, I could barely watch it, and I used to be a police officer, because they shot him up, and you could hear him gagging on his own blood to his demise. Didn't care nothing about his life. But yet, Black Lives Matter. To who? To who? You know, it's funny that it's funny that the world is confused about the violence in the inner city. They're confused. They have no idea what's going on. The average person have no idea how bad it really is. On the media, they don't even talk about it. Presidents, they not showing up in the hood. And I'm not saying you got to go there, but we got to, at some point in our country, some president got to make a stand and say, this is enough. This is genocide. This is a epidemic. You got young people getting shot in the head in inner cities all around the country. They have nothing to do with gang violence, but because other dudes are thugged out, fully automatic weapons, blindly shooting in the crowds of people, young people are snuffed every day in the inner city. And where I live at, kids don't have to worry about doing nothing but stubbing their toe if they step off the curb wrong. But in the hood, they got to worry about dying. They got to worry about watching people get killed. I don't know why in our country we don't prioritize a conversation, a campaign to say enough is enough of the violence in the inner city. You know how many people in the inner city per capita are getting killed? How many young men are trapped in the gun and gang violence? And for decades, I'm gonna give you a statistic, and this was fact checked. People today cry about racism, slavery, and the plight of the white man against the black man. Now, during slavery, I don't believe we have any record of how many slaves were killed. I would argue that more slaves were killed once they were released than were killed in slavery. Why do you say that, Mr. Tatum? One, because I went to college and I learned about Africana studies, and then you put two and two together with logic and you say that they had to purchase black people as slaves. And so if you killed them, you're really throwing away your money that cannot be recoverable. So many times they used to work them, beat them, abuse them, but they did not kill them because they needed them to work. After slavery was abolished, they had no use for some of these black people. So sometimes, in some cases, they will be killed indiscriminately. If you look at the legacy of lynching in America, there's about 3,400 black lynchings in the 68-year recorded history of lynching in this country. And could there be more? Yes, there could be more that wasn't recorded. Could the number be off? It could possibly be off. I would extend to you, we should double that number. We could say that it only is half of all the lynchings in the 68 years of lynching. Let's round it up to 6,000 lynchings, and we'll run with that. The entire 68-year legacy of lynching in this country, let's say that there were 6,000 lynchings of black men, and that's me doubling it up. You look at the violence that occur in America today, mostly in the inner cities, you're talking maybe between 6,000 7,000 black men murdered by other black men in 1 year. In 1 year. And the fact checkers tried to fact check Colonel Allen West on this because he had mentioned that the Klan lynched more people, or that black on black violence killed more black men in a 6-month period than the entire lynching legacy of the KKK. They fact checked him and said it was partially true because it wasn't necessarily the KKK. So everything else he said was true, but it wasn't just the KKK that was lynching people. And so they didn't want him to use that particular fact. So his argument was that if you look at the raw numbers of 3,400 lynchings in the recorded history of lynching, and you look at the amount of people killed in a year, more black men die in 6 months in the inner city today than they did in the whole legacy of lynching for the 68 years that it existed in America. It's bizarre to me that we don't have a closer conversation. It's bizarre to me that black men that are billionaires, millionaires, these rappers that grow up in these hoods are not speaking up on this more often. It is crazy to me that black America has fallen so deep into confusion, brainwashing, that the average black man don't see this as a problem to express. Maybe they see it as a problem. They don't see it as a problem to express. People that got money and resources, they are not vocal about this. They are not. LeBron James grew up in Akron, Ohio, in the hood. And what do you hear him talking about? What is his grievance? If you can go back and listen to his grievance, what is his grievances? White man, that he afraid of police. He can't leave his house without going. Well, let's talk about this, LeBron. Why you don't live in the hood? Oh, because you are more afraid about the hood than you are about police officers who will never give you a ticket because you're LeBron James. If I was a cop, I'd give him a ticket. But for the most part, you're LeBron James. People worship LeBron James. But his grievance is the cops. You had somebody like Colin Kaepernick take a knee for the national anthem for police brutality. But he don't take a knee during the national anthem to bring awareness to black on black violence in the inner city, to the education system failing in the inner city, to fathers and mothers not being married, setting their children up for success in a 2-parent home. He ain't took a single kneel. His knee haven't hit the ground for none of those things. And then when I get on the radio and say it, people get mad at me. Oh, you Uncle Tom sellout. You always talking about black people. Because I'm looking at the numbers, people. I'm looking at the doggone numbers. You look at any year of black people getting killed by police, and you say you can't argue about the dudes with guns shooting at the police, so they don't count. And then you talk about unarmed individuals. Just because you're unarmed don't mean you're not a deadly threat. But we could just, for the sake of argument, we could say every unarmed black man shot by police is an unjustified shooting, just for the sake of argument. We're talking about an average of about 14 a year. 14 a year. You talk about 7,000 a year murdered by other black men. You just do the freaking numbers. Let's go over a 10-year period. It's easy math. You say 14 people killed, 10-year period, that's 140 people. 7,000 killed in the inner city in 10 years, that's 70,000 people. 140 versus 70,000. You remind me which one should be a bigger priority. And the murder in the inner city doesn't just stop with a murder. It's retaliation. Somebody goes to prison. It is a complete destruction of the community when brothers are murdering each other. And some may say, oh, that's not the big picture. There's 70 million or 40 million black people in this country. But you're talking about where a lot of black people are coming from. These young men are coming out of these violent environments. And you talk about poverty, you talk about education, you talk about all this stuff. These are the environments in which are breeding this type of mentality all across the country. And you have successful young men come from their ashes and make money, and they still have this hood mentality because they're coming from these slums that have been created and nobody's talking about it.